on, let's go outside. Let's take a walk in the sun. There are things to learn and things to see. A big wide world for you, your dog, and me. Dog Talk. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Dog Talk. I'm Pat Becker, and we have Underdog Rescue with us today. Micah, how are you?
Hi, Pat. I'm wonderful. Thank you so much.
Jared, it's always good to see you.
Well,
always good to see you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So tell me, what's going on with Underdog now? How long have you all been functioning?
We have been in business for 3 years almost. We became a 501c3, a nonprofit, full-grown nonprofit in 2014.
2014.
Yes. And as of right now, we have about 40 dogs that we are taking care of, 40 dogs and a few cats in the rescue, and we're doing pretty good. Thank you.
Yes, and everyone will, I think, recognize the German accent. My heritage is also
so
German.
badly.
No, I think it's wonderful. I like to revisit that. It's lovely. And so you all really actually have mainly fosters.
Yes.
And you're a foster facility.
Absolutely.
Which is so smart. I am so impressed with people who can find others who will foster those dogs. It really eliminates a lot of the problems that you have, a lot of the opportunities, you know, you still have there for those fosters and for getting those dogs adopted. So Jared, are you still involved with this?
Yeah, actually, I have 2 fosters that are permanent in my house now. I have trouble giving fosters up, but yes, and it's one of the difficult things we encounter is finding good fosters, especially the condition of the dogs,
right, exactly.
the nature of an
So what are
underdog.
the breeds of the dogs do you have? Are they mixed breeds or?
We are not breed specific.
Not breed
Nor
specific.
breed,
Excellent.
nor species
Excellent.
specific. We would take in your turtle if we have a foster for her.
Well, I'll remember that if I find one. We appreciate it so much. We're going to talk more about this, but right now we're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
Still to come on Dog Talk, my favorite part. Bill, we got some food here, and Sherry, what is this?
Well, we've got a variety of treats.
But now back to Dog Talk.
How lucky we are today that we have Andrew and Heather Anders. How are you guys? And you are specialists that we're going to talk about. Connie, how are you? Connie called me actually about coming on and why I didn't have you on, Micah, and I said, hey, I have had before, you know.
That is
I
true.
know her very well.
It's our fourth time, actually.
Yes,
today.
exactly. But we had this is a very special time because as we see, this is the dog Lovely. Now tell me about Lovely.
Lovely came to us in December. She was found by the Midwest City shelter staff and became an instant favorite of the shelter staff. Usually a dog, her age, she's a little older, she's around 8, between 8 and 10, and a dog with her disability, as you can see, she has a prosthetic here. She has a short leg, which is a
So
birth
that was
defect.
from birth?
Yeah, it's a birth defect.
I'll be darned.
So a dog like this would usually be not adoptable.
Exactly, and I can kind of ascertain she's probably part pit bull, and I'm thinking maybe part even pointer. I've got a pointer has a head just like that. People get them, you know, confused a lot.
Yeah.
But at any rate, so let's talk with Andrew and Heather. So you guys manufacture these kinds of things.
Yes, correct.
So, I mean, for humans, basically. And so when did you get into the let's do it with a dog?
I had done one like probably almost 10 years ago when I was with a different company, and we had started our company about 3 years ago, and we've always loved animals and pets. And I know that Heather would know way more about this, but she reached out to a couple of different communities, you know, because she was wanting to get involved with something. And then whenever she met
And this
Micah,
was perfect.
Yeah,
So
when
tell
she-
me, what is the process of this kind of thing? How do you go about it?
Well, basically you just take a cast of whatever limb is missing, so that way you can fabricate a socket that will fit the limb, because you can't just pull anything off of the shelf. It's really custom fabricated to fit because of the different shapes and things. And if the socket doesn't fit well, then it can cause sores. It can, you know, create problems. And then once we get a well-fitting socket, then we place a foot or a paw in this case in the right spot, so that way as the dog uses it, it will function and be able to return energy to help Lovely walk a little
Well,
easier.
sure, and I can understand how difficult is that, because she was missing a paw, she was missing a limb, and in order to, the difficulty I see is balancing the dog so that when she walks, she is balanced equally on each limb, so that doesn't produce a problem further up. You know?
Right, yeah, in the shoulder, correct.
And so that's really difficult. I am so impressed. I'm amazed. So how many of these dogs then have you done? You did one 10 years ago, and then there's Lovely.
And
so
we're working with 2 other ones, and they're still in the process. So, but yeah, I would love to make this more of a business and doing more animals, you know, down the road in the future.
well, yeah, you know, it is an option. We know that about Faith, the little dog that was born without front legs, who walked on her hind legs.
Right.
We have seen dogs that pull carts, you know, behind them because they have no feeling, you know, in their spine and their back legs or anything. And this would be an option. So I am really interested in it too, to see how it turns out. Obviously, the responsibility falls on the owner to take this off, I guess, at night, to check the limb,
Correct.
to put it back on and be sure it's in place. So I would assume you have to go over those things with them.
Yes.
So do you do a lot of that?
Yes, and we would constantly have to work with the pet owners for sure. It'd be a long-term
Exactly, a long-term thing.
sure.
Especially if they're puppies, because as they grow, the socket doesn't grow with them.
Exactly. I was going to say, as if they are younger, then it's got to be changed and altered. Well, that is so exciting. So will you let me know and come back, and if you do another one, let's
yes.
do it again.
We have a puppy right now that we're
Definitely.
working on.
Excellent. Well, that'll be great. Well, thank you so much, all of you, because this is wonderful. Micah, keep on keeping on, and let us know what's going on, okay? Connie, thank you for getting in touch with us, and you guys, you know, I am excited about this. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
A1 Pet Emporium is Oklahoma's authority on healthy nutrition for dogs and cats. Quality does not have to cost more, and we only have the best. If your pet suffers from allergies, digestive issues, skin infections, or hair loss, it may be the result of their diet. A1 Pet Emporium can help. We offer pet portraits monthly, adorable rescue animals every Saturday from noon to 4, and free dog and cat food samples. Locally owned and operated, we want to be your neighborhood pet store.
So, Ted, you've brought us some guests.
That's right. I had the pleasure of going to Ardmore and Madill, Oklahoma, and I met 2 dog lovers. This is Scott and Kathy Sutherland, and you won't believe how much they help out their community. And Scott, you are the president for the Ardmore Animal Shelter?
That's correct. I wear 2 hats. We have a rescue basically in the backyard, and then I'm also the president of the board of Ardmore Animal Care Incorporated, which is the shelter for the town of Ardmore.
Wonderful. And I got to take a tour, and I thought I'd like to show you what the Ardmore beautiful facility is all about.
Let's do it.
All right, I'm here at the Ardmore Animal Shelter, and I am here with Casey, and this is Sylvester. Casey's here. She is the co-director of the shelter, and she's going to tell us a little bit about what we do here. Thanks for joining us. Can you tell us, you know, what the animal shelter is all about?
We take in stray, unwanted, homeless animals for not only Ardmore but the surrounding communities. We take in close to 6,000 a year, which that number seems quite staggering for this small of a community. I have about 12 total employees, that's part-time and full-time. Most of them have been here for several years. The day-to-day operations consist of constantly checking animals in the door, whether the owners are bringing them in or animal controls are bringing them in, along with people coming to reclaim animals, and of course, on good days, a lot of adoptions.
How many dogs do we have here? How many pets? I saw cats too. There were kittens running around.
Today we have 75 in-house.
Okay.
Which is about a comfortable amount for us to have, where we can have just one in each cage so that they're not sharing any sort of disease among each other. Plus it makes it easier for them to be adopted when people can see them one-on-one instead of just with the other pets.
I saw a lot of beautiful dogs out there, and do you have quite a few people that come in here and try to adopt?
We do. We've already adopted over 100 just during March so far.
Oh, wow.
So about half of what's come in has been adopted already. We advertise with the local paper. We advertise on the radio stations. Facebook page, of course, is the popular thing right now. That helps get a lot of adopted. So we do have a lot come in, a lot of traffic to get them placed into the right homes.
It's such a nice, big, beautiful facility. You know, some places you go, you don't really see the space. The dogs have to run around out there. Do they get a little playtime here and there outside?
We do have several different yards that they all get to play in, and we rotate to try to make sure everybody gets out at least once a day. Of course, those that we know for sure are house trained definitely get to go out first thing in the morning.
Okay.
And we do try to rotate them. The fresh air does wonders for them.
Now, if someone wants to help the Ardmore shelter, can they contact you? Do you guys accept donations?
We accept donations, of course. Monetary, of course, is always accepted, but we also always need supplies of bedding materials, towels, blankets, cleaning supplies. We clean nonstop here. Bleach, laundry soap, there's all kinds of things that can be donated.
Too?
Volunteers, absolutely.
All right, well, we'll be back in just a minute. I'm going to play with Sylvester. All right, we are here with Amanda Chester, who's the intaker. Now, it sounds scary, but it's actually a fun process, right?
It is. It's very fun. But in here, a lot of times when they come in, like especially big dogs, they're scared. Like older dogs, not just big dogs, but they're, you know, it's a culture shock for them, you know, to come. As soon as they hit the doorway, it's like they hear all the dogs, they hear all, you know, they smell all the dogs. It's like, you know, it's a culture shock. So they come in here, it's quiet, you know, and if they're scared and I can't do anything to them immediately, which happens a lot of times, you know, because they're scared, and a lot of times aggression comes out of, you know, fear and stuff. So we'll let them, you know, wander around, kind of chill out or whatever, and I'll just sit in here with them and talk to them. You know,
so we've done the whole intake process. What's next? Do we find them a kennel?
Yes, we would go take them out there to a kennel, whether they be stray or owned. There's different sides for each dog. If they were to be a stray, then I would go put him on the stray side. He would stay there for 5 days to give his owners a chance to come claim him. Within those 5 days, if they did not come, then they would be put up for adoption. Get a new home.
Is this an enjoyable process, bringing the dogs in and finding them their kennel? And
it is, especially when they come in and they haven't come from a good home, because I know they're out of that bad situation, you know, and they're here, and this isn't ideal, you know, for any animal to come to, but we love the animals, and once the animals are here, I know that these animals are going to receive the love that they didn't give, you know, in their previous home, and the care, and whether they were fed or not, they're going to get everything here that they didn't, you know, possibly get in their previous home.
what's it like when you bring a dog in, go through the intake process, they're in the kennel, maybe they're here for a little while, and then someone adopts them and takes them home? How do you feel about that?
It's an amazing feeling, especially the ones, there's some that come in and they're the cases where they're terrified and they're, you know, they're aggressive and stuff, and they turn around and they, you know, wagging their tails, walking out the door, and there's been several times that I've cried because I've gotten so attached to the dogs, and it's, you know, I spend a lot of time, like, it's the ones, there's just special ones that come in and they've come from terrible homes, and those are the ones that are the absolute best, because we know that we've done our job and making them, you know, feel safe and loved, and okay, you know, we're okay, people are okay, you know, we love you, and then seeing them go to a new home is amazing.
Oh, that was amazing, amazing. You know, I had been down there years ago, and it's refreshing to see somebody who is so organized, like all of these women who work with you. It's wonderful. You've done a great job.
Well, it's not my doing. As a board member, you're kind of a little bit on the inside and a little bit on the outside, but you have to hand it to the staff. We have a very compassionate, caring staff, and they get all the credit for all that.
Well, it has to be somebody to run the boat.
But the staff was so helpful. Kathy, who's a school teacher, you noticed that you had a child volunteer there.
There was a student on there.
That must make you feel pretty good as a
does.
teacher.
It
Yeah,
does.
she was in, her student was taking dogs in and out of kennels and playing with them. They have a wonderful play area. And we thought it was important to show how wonderful that facility is and the positive side of it. Amanda, while we were shooting that video and talking, we went out and took B-roll video of other dogs and everything. And while we were gone, a dog was adopted that we were playing with.
Oh, how fantastic.
So that was really cool.
That makes it all worth it.
It does. And in your segment, you had a lot of kids, and we like having a lot of children there so that we can try and educate them very early, and so that they can learn compassion and they can learn about being tender and caring for a dog and cat. So it's very important for us to try and get as many kids through there as we can.
Oh, I agree with you totally, totally.
And so that is a positive side that the dogs go through, even though an owner or someone has dropped it off. There is care there, but there's also another side that we wanted to show of the shelter, and that is when people aren't spaying and neutering their dogs, and when there are too many dogs in the facility, something else has to happen.
Yes, and euthanasia is a reality. I assume that's what you're speaking of.
Of course.
Yes, that is a reality, a sad reality, but something that is necessary that you can't get beyond. So did you interview someone?
Yes, we talked with Tina, and I just want to take this video here. It really speaks for itself. Okay, we are in a place that not a lot of dog owners and dog lovers want to talk about, but it is something that does happen. It is something that unfortunately has to happen in certain places. Tina, you are a co-director here at the Ardmore Animal Shelter. Yes. Thanks for joining us. Tell us about where we are and what happens here.
Well, we're in the euthanasia room, and this is the room that, like you said, no one wants to come to, no one wants to know about. Of course, we hear the same excuses from everyone 100 times a day of why they're bringing the pet in. Everyone wants the cute little dog when it's a puppy. And then they forget that they're probably the reason it has the bad habits it has, and then they bring it to the shelter, or they want to get rid of it well, we can't housebreak it. Well, are you doing the proper time to take, that it takes to housebreak the animal? It's biting my kid. I always say, well, what'd your kid do to the dog?
Yeah.
A lot of issues.
What would you say to someone who says, why do you have to do this? What would you say to someone like that?
I would say because the public is not responsible for spaying and neutering their pets. There's too many backyard breeders. There's not enough homes. I hear people all the time say, if I won the lottery, the first thing I would do is buy a bunch of land for these dogs. I'd take every dog in the shelter. And of course, after about 5 or 6 years of hearing that, I now ask those people that say that, and then what are you going to do with the next 200 and 300 I get in next month? And what about the month after that?
Can you describe to us, to our viewers, what it's like to bring that dog through that door in here?
Well, it breaks your heart. It breaks our heart when we come to work every day. And I can say it takes a special person to work at a shelter that euthanizes. You have people that work at no-kill shelters, or you have rescues, but eventually, I don't know what no-kill means. To me, it doesn't exist, for the simple fact of you can't keep them all. It breaks your heart knowing that you've got to put this animal to sleep. You've got to be the animal's voice. You've got to be the advocate for that animal. We have another person here that will hold the animal, and we pet them and we talk to them and we call them by the name that we give them if they don't have one, and all the way up until they're gone. It only takes about a second to a second and a half once we inject them.
And one thing I would tell people is that you have no idea what it's like unless you're in this room, and you can see the love on the walls in here.
We just try to make it as understanding for us that are doing it, as well as to try to make it as live and as comfortable for the animal too. We like to come in here because this is the quietest room that we have in our facility. We have the Rainbow Bridge poem, which we read over usually at least once every couple of days. It's hard to describe the feeling, and it's hard to deal with having to do this and that being part of your job, because when someone does find out that a pet got euthanized, then they want to call you a murderer or a killer or things like that, and it's like, you have no idea of what I go through on a daily basis, because I can tell you it takes a very special person to be able to do this job right here.
Breaks your heart.
It does, it really does. And it is a fact of reality that we have to face. And those of us who are in this business would love to be put out of business. But as long as people don't understand that spaying and neutering, that training their animals is so important, it's the difference in those dogs' lives. And if a dog's life means something to you, then you have to realize that it is a process, a responsibility as a pet owner. People who don't have this responsibility, excuse me, I'm still a little upset about the fact.
It hits home.
It really for all of us, you know, because it's just the saddest thing in the world to see an innocent animal. It is humane the way that it is done. There are inhumane ways to do it, especially in some of the rural areas. I am so upset about those. You all do a fantastic job.
Really do.
As a matter of fact, can you come back maybe next week and let's talk a little more? Talk
Sure.
about
We would be happy
talk
to.
about SOAR. That would be good.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Excellent. Oh, Ted, thank you so much. Great job. Great job.
And one thing I do want to say after talking with the people that you work with at the Ardmore Shelter is that you have no idea what it's like for the person who has to go in there and put that dog to sleep. And you know, she's not a murderer. She's a person, and she has to deal with that. They have to deal with that. And they're doing it because we're not doing our jobs as dog owners.
That's exactly right. Well, I will say an exception. I think we are all doing our jobs.
Well, I meant we as a people. I didn't mean the people up here.
Right. We just can't keep up with it. You know,
Right.
we just can't keep up with it. So we're going to take a break, and guess who's here? Bill and Sherri.
A1 Pet Emporium is Oklahoma's authority on healthy nutrition for dogs and cats. Quality does not have to cost more, and we only have the best. If your pet suffers from allergies, digestive issues, skin infections, or hair loss, it may be the result of their diet. A1 Pet Emporium can help. We offer pet portraits monthly, adorable rescue animals every Saturday from noon to 4, and free dog and cat food samples. Locally owned and operated, we want to be your neighborhood pet store.
So, Bill, we had the idea of, since you saw the little dog that was on the prosthesis, and dogs that have disabilities like this, obviously they cannot gain a lot of weight, because if one of their limbs is missing, or if they have the prosthesis, or just have bad arthritis, extra weight really makes it difficult. So I called you guys and I said, what can we get for dogs that would be high energy and yet not put on the fat?
Right.
What are we talking about?
Well, basically, a lot of times you want to go ahead and, first of all, do portion controls with your dogs. If they're special needs, you want to go ahead and make sure that you're keeping them within 2 to 3% of their body weight for their amount of food that you're giving them. And of course, the type of food you're going to give them makes a bunch of difference. So what we're going to make today is basically a chicken pasta salad. Chicken is a great protein source. It's low in fats, saturated, and we got green beans for a vegetable and some vitamins, and a special kind of pasta. This is gluten-free pasta. Now, this
Gluten-free.
is gluten-free. It's made
Outstanding.
with brown rice. Now, brown rice is a good source of energy for the dog, and also doesn't have the glutens that could affect it one way or the other adversely. So we're going to whip this up real quick. And Sherri, why don't you tell us what you brought today while I'm whipping up some stuff here?
I think another great thing about your brown sugar, I mean your brown rice, doesn't turn into sugar, which you don't, sugar's going to be another
Exactly.
negative. So what we focus on in the store when someone comes to us with a need similar to this is, once again, we talk about portion, we think about how humans should put a nice schedule within their budget, their routine, and put a protein about every 3 hours in with a nice vegetable. Definitely offer them something that's all natural with the vegetables and the different berries and things like that that will counterbalance and not be a sugar with a moderate amount of protein. And the blessing is protein comes in a variety of different ways.
Yeah.
You can put it in the popcorn as a little something to give them throughout the day, which is ours is lamb. And then we also have a variety of different seafoods that they can put and make them put into their diet throughout the day as well.
And I might add too, it is better to feed a dog twice a day a smaller portion.
Exactly.
And on some dogs that are really overweight, you can even feed them 3 times a day. But the amount of portion is so important. So what you put some
Okay, so
things
there we
in.
have 5 ingredients here, which are really pretty simple. We put our gluten-free pasta in. I grilled a chicken breast, and it's about 4 ounces, and about 4 ounces portion of the gluten-free pasta, and about 2.5 ounces of freshly blanched green beans. And basically, I use fresh green beans because if you use canned anything, you have to be very aware of all of the extra ingredients that come along with it, which is your sugars or your salts and the stuff that's not very good for your dog. So the more fresher ingredients that you start with, the better it's going to be for you and your dog. So we've got a little bit of olive oil in here and fresh dill. Now I use dill in this recipe for several different reasons. If your dog has any problem with constipation, it's always good. And it's actually a natural dewormer. So if you keep them a little bit of dill in their diet every once in a while, that's going to help them to where you don't have to go to the vet quite as often.
So if a person wanted to get this menu that you have just done, how can they do that?
Well, I'd be glad to put it on your website, man.
Oh,
If you want to use the recipe, it's very simple. If you want to go ahead and add this to your diet, all you'd have to do is add the ingredients that you enjoy, which is, of course, a little bit of salt. Well, anytime we make food for your dog, we always eliminate the salt.
Yeah,
so
add a little tofu to that and would be great for me.
It's right after pepper.
We thank you so much, guys. As usual, you always have the answers to the diets, and that's the important thing. The proper diet makes a healthy dog. Does it?
Absolutely.
Always. We've had such fun, you guys. Have fun this week, and we'll see you next week.
We're talking about dogs. Talking about big dogs, talking about little dogs, oh yeah. Chasing the ball, chasing the cat, digging holes, thing like that. Dogs, talking about dogs. Laughing dogs, sad dogs, happy dogs, mad dogs. Dogs, just talking about dogs. Lost and alone, running the street, checking the garbage, looking to eat. Out there sad and on their own, the law will get them if they got no home. Dogs, talk about dogs. Dogs, we're talking about dogs. You say they were angels sent from above, then a year or two later you fell out of love. You dumped them, man, and kicked them out. Now what the heck was that about? Dogs, we're talking about dogs. Dogs, them poor little dogs. Talking about big dogs, talking about a little dog, oh yeah. Chasing the